Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Um, Welcome to something new I'm doing, okay? So, this is called, it's a new program which comes under the banner of Atlantic Muslim, and this program is called Amcast. So it's more like a podcast sort of thing, but on YouTube, and hopefully I can go into more detail on this sort of platform, and we can discuss more issues in more detail and really take a look around the landscape of the Muslim dawah scene and the people and the personalities operating in it. Although I will not be too personal. I will not be talking about people in a personal sense, because obviously that goes against the adab and the etiquettes of a Muslim, and we should not be doing that, because it will create fitna and discord within the community. And of course, this is a Muslim channel, and we're all Muslims, and we need to be cordial and friendly and show mercy towards each other. And we have to stay within the bounds of Islam and the Islamic etiquettes and manners as practiced by the Salafus Salihin and the Prophet ﷺ and the earliest, generations. So this also gives me the opportunity to talk about more stuff more regularly and submit more regularly to the channel, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so what I was going to start off with, so this is going to be like an ongoing conversation, okay? So you need to keep up, basically, with every, just like a podcast, really, which is a continuous process. It's an ongoing conversation I'm going to have with you guys, okay? So make sure you subscribe, you like, comment, and share. And obviously, you need to subscribe in order to keep up with the podcasts, okay? This is the first one, so this is number one. And today's topic is the toxic YouTube culture. And I think I will be coming back to this topic more and more regularly. It is one of those things that needs to be discussed in depth. So it's going to take a lot of time to get through, and hopefully you'll find it interesting, and you'll like it, and you'll be informed, and you'll be able to formulate your own judgments and so forth. Okay, so what's going on with the mass, with the YouTube and the dawah scene that the Muslims find themselves in? Now, obviously, what happened was, this is, I think, the early 90s when the internet took off, the World Wide Web and so forth. And then, of course, the MSN, some of you will remember this, some of you might not. Some of the older brothers, like myself, will remember MSN, Hotmail, and so forth. That's how it all started. And then it went on to Yahoo, and then there was, as I said, MSN, then there was High Five, then there was Facebook, and then there was YouTube, and then Google was also coming along at the same time, and it overtook Yahoo, and then there was MySpace. Gosh, this brings back memories. MySpace, I completely forgot about them. Are they still going? I don't know. Does anybody know if they're still going? I'd love to know if they're still going. MySpace. Has anyone actually got an account with MySpace? That's what I want to know. Because that would be crazy. I mean, I wonder how many people are on there. Anyway, so I actually never went onto MySpace. I never had an account with MySpace. I had an account with High Five. Who remembers High Five? So that's one I need to know about that, because that was massive at one point. That was like almost like the precursor to Facebook. I remember, quick story, I remember being on High Five and Facebook was just coming online, okay? And this was back in like 2006 or 5. And I was thinking, damn, this Facebook is crap. This is just, compared to High Five, Facebook is just so boring and so bland, and it just looks too professional and rigid. But subhanAllah, look what happens, okay? Look at where High Five is now and look at where Facebook is now. It's just a complete turnaround. It's an astronomical turnaround. Facebook has just taken over the world. It's almost like a modern day religion. Okay, that's another YouTube topic we need to go into. Is YouTube a religion? Okay, so I think we're going to tackle that. I think that would be a crazy topic to go into, okay? Okay, that's interesting, and there's so much to unpack in that sort of topic. Interesting, okay? Anyway, so the crazy. So what happened was, obviously, with Facebook and YouTube and all that sort of stuff, okay, when all that came online, suddenly everybody had access to the whole world. I think this is really basic across all these platforms. All of a sudden, your average Joe, your average Mo, or whatever you want to say, could access. He had a platform to access the entire world, just like I am doing now with you guys, okay? Now, in theory, this video can go out to 7 billion people. But obviously, in reality, it's going to go out to maybe 1 or 2. But you know what I mean. Inshallah. Okay. So, all of a sudden, yeah, anybody, right, can talk to the whole world. You can suddenly talk to the whole world, okay? Now, this is what's called this is what I call the mass democratization of media, okay? All of a sudden, it wasn't just CNN or the BBC or Sky News giving you information through the media outlets, okay? All of a sudden, somebody could be sitting in their bedroom, right? And pump out information, good, genuine, journalistic, decent, well-researched journalistic material, the full works, right, from the comfort of their bedroom. Now that is just some power, right? That is just power, come on. And of course, we all know what that led to. Donald Trump, who practically ran his entire presidency through Twitter. Okay, that's just taken a massive jump ahead, I know. So all of a sudden, you have this mass democratization of media sweeping the entire world, right? Everyone's signing up to these media platforms, social media platforms. And from the 2-year-old to the 100-year-old, you had people joining up to these accounts, okay? You could be a child. You could literally be in your diapers and you could be world famous all of a sudden. You could be making thousands of pounds for your parents. I know certain channels that my nephews and nieces regularly watch, and they have views racking up to the millions, okay? And they have subscription and subscribers racking up to the millions, And these are kids. And the stars of these channels are kids, okay? Babies who don't even know what YouTube is, okay? So this is how crazy and topsy-turvy this situation is. Now, obviously, that situation, the Muslims being, 20% of the worldwide population, is it? 2 billion out of 7, okay? It's about 20-30% of the UK, of the worldwide population are Muslim, okay? This technology is not going to sidestep the Muslims, is it? It's going to sweep the Muslims along with it, okay? And that is exactly what's happened. And we are human beings like the rest of the world, okay? We are human beings with human flaws and human dignities. Now, I think this is important to understand. YouTube, social media, and all that sort of tech and high-tech IT stuff, okay, has been created by the Western world. This is their baby, okay? And because it's a Western concept, okay, this has been invented, this has been designed, and this has been, everything about it is it's a Western technology. The concept is Western, okay? Hooking up the whole world, sharing information. At least at the beginning, it was all about freedom, okay? You could say what you like. You could say the craziest stuff, okay, about killing people. You could threaten people, literally. You could threaten them. You could threaten their life, and you pretty much got away with it in the earliest days. It was really the wild, wild west. So anyway, at the heart of this system, this concept, is capitalism. And at the heart of this concept is capitalism and competition, all right? That is the driver behind it. The business model of YouTube and Facebook and all social media accounts is the intention is obviously to make money for the creators, okay? So in order to make money, they need views, they need subscribers, they need people using the platform. And in order to get people to use the platform, they need to they need to produce content that people will like, because then that obviously ensures greater ad revenue, more users, greater ad revenue, and so forth. So the whole basis of the concept is capitalism, is competition, to make money, and then obviously this funds are in research and development, and then this creates better technology, and that makes money. That makes more money for the shareholders, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, the concept is competition. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, right, Muslims are using this platform, all these platforms. What do you think is going to happen when they go onto these platforms? The culture, YouTube culture, what is it all about? Okay, the YouTube culture is all about getting views. It's all about subscriptions. It's all about having shares, likes, and comments, okay? Because that way you get more people coming to you and you make more money, okay? And you become more famous and all that sort of stuff, okay? Now, that is kind of a problem for Muslims. Because in Islam, our Islam comes first, right? That comes first. Our religion comes first. Not fame, not money, not our business model. At the core of our identity, our existence is our Islam, our religion, our faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay? And our belief in the Prophet ﷺ and the practicing his sunnah. That is what comes first. So you can see the clash here, okay? As soon as a brother or a sister, they create a YouTube channel, right? Straight away, they are under pressure. They are under pressure to compete. You are competing for views, you're competing for subscription, because that is the only way you will get subscriptions. If you make good videos, you'll get more views. If you get more views, you will get more subscriptions, and then you'll become more famous and you'll make more money, okay? So it's a rat race. It's a microcosm of wider society that we have been used to prior. So all that is now happening in YouTube, okay? In the YouTube culture. Now, Muslims, just like everybody else, we will eventually imbibe this culture, okay? We will feel so much pressure that we will have to compete with our fellow YouTubers. We are competing straight away. Any video that is going out there is going into an algorithm, and the computer is deciding which video is worth recommending, which video is worth promoting. What happens to a Muslim at that point is he feels so much pressure, right, to succeed in his endeavor on YouTube. Otherwise, he wouldn't be on there in the first place. That he obviously he wants to make interesting content. Okay, he wants to make interesting content that people will watch. And if he does a long tafsir of say Surah Rahman or Surah Mulk, and he explains it step by step, not many people, this is the harsh truth, not many people are going to watch it. it's kind of going to be very, ranked very low in the algorithm. Not many people are going to watch it. So what is he or she, what are they forced to do? In order to compete, they are forced to be different. So this is capitalism at play. This is capitalism doing its magic on you, fellow YouTubers. Capitalism, success, money, is making you now try to be different. Okay? So, your fellow YouTuber has just done a tafsir of Surah Rahman. Beautiful. Subhanallah. He's getting so many rewards for that. In the Akhirah, of course. But in the world, he's only getting 25 views. But the brother's going to stick to it. Now, another YouTuber might come along and say, okay, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that because I want to get 1 million views. I want to go viral. 25 views ain't going to cut it for me. So what do I need to do? I need to make interesting videos. Okay, so what are interesting videos? I'm going to pick on my fellow YouTuber who is famous, or a sheikh who has made a mistake, who's slipped up or who's made a serious error. Or I'm going to pick on that YouTuber who's got 500,000 subscribers. I'm going to pick on them. I'm going to start a fight with them. I'm going to start a YouTube war with my fellow YouTubers, with my brother in Islam. So your mind is going to be telling you that. This is, without a doubt, this is what's going to be going through your head. And that is why we see these YouTube fights. It's people, it's YouTubers, it's Muslim brothers wanting to be interesting, wanting to make interesting content that other people will watch. And it's a common, some of you will know this, it's a common tactic. It's a common tactic. Jumping on the bandwagon, it's called. When you're a new YouTuber, right, you've got 0 views, you've got 0 subscription, no one knows you exist, right? It's a common tactic. So what you do is, you find someone famous, and you talk about them. Okay? You reference them. And then, you put their picture up, maybe on your thumbnail. Okay, this is the little picture on your YouTube videos that comes up on the search. And then what happens is people actually start clicking on your video. You are anonymous. However, because of that picture, or the fact that you are talking about that person, you're picking a fight with that person, what's happening is people are going to start clicking on your video, and then you get the views and you get the subscriptions. Do you see how YouTube incentivizes people, and Muslims in particular, to start fights with each other? Okay? So, that is what happens basically. Many YouTubers, Muslim YouTubers, fall in this trap. And it is a trap. And it's a trap set by the shaitan and the shayateen, without a question. So it's not good enough to just talk about Islam. It's not good enough to talk nicely about your fellow brother in Islam. That's not good enough. That's not going to get you views. What I need to do is be different, is be radical, is be a maverick. If I stand out in the crowd, more people will see me. If I do something crazy, more people will watch me. If I just sit there doing some boring tafsir of the Quran or recitation, No one is going to see me. That is how YouTube culture is, and that is why you see these fights and beefs between fellow brothers who would be perfectly fine. They'd be perfectly fine if they met each other on the street or in a cafe, in everyday normal scenario. They'll be fine. They'll be the best of brothers. One could be a Salafi, and the other one could be, I don't know, a Sufi. But they'll be fine. But as soon as they go behind a camera and they are hooked up to a microphone, all hell breaks loose. All hell breaks loose because it's a YouTube culture. You want to get views, you want to get subscriptions. People want to see a fight. It's as much the fault of the creator of the content as it is of you guys, the people who watch, who lap up this sort of stuff. Let's be honest. You guys love this controversy. You guys love controversy. It's not your fault. This is not your fault, okay? This is human nature. When two brothers are fighting in real life or on YouTube, you will watch that video. But if I said a story about Ibrahim alayhi salam or Nuh alayhi salam, nah, come on. Heard it before. I ain't gonna waste time listening to that. Same old, same old. All the animals go into a ship, into a giant boat, and they get saved. How many times am I gonna hear that story? But if this brother is fighting against that brother, oh my God, what is he saying about him? What is the latest scandal that he has dug up about the other fellow brother? Now you want to know. Now you're hooked. Now you're interested in what's going on. And then the viewership and the views and the clicks and the shares and the comments, they go through the roof. And you've just made that YouTuber famous. It is your views, your clicks, that is doing it. My fellow brothers and sisters, we are all connected. Okay? The creator and the watcher and the listener, they're all connected. So that is what YouTube culture, grounded in capitalism, will do to you. Whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're an atheist, it doesn't matter. Because fundamentally, you're an Adam. You have weaknesses. You have flaws. You are not infallible. So you will be swept up along in this YouTube culture. Oh, and this is fueling so much fitna in the ummah, without a question. We are forgetting the basic principles of how we ought to behave with our fellow Muslims. Let's just leave aside the non-Muslims for a second. The amount of emphasis that our Prophet ﷺ gave to this relationship and brotherhood of Islam is undeniable, and I don't understand how we can ignore it. You can't ignore it. It is just so fundamental within. So it's going to be very hard for somebody on YouTube, especially if they haven't got the requisite ilm and knowledge about Islam and the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's going to be very hard for them to navigate that platform within the bounds of Islam. You know, I'm afraid the only answer is you need to become more educated in the manners and the ways of Islam. That is the only way, and the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. That's the only way. That is the only antidote. If you are going to do YouTube, if you are going to be on social media, I'm afraid you will have to. There's no other option. Otherwise, it's going to be just sin, 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 sin. You're going to have to arm yourself with the requisite ilm, okay, and the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and how he advised us, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala advised us, how we behave with each other. Some people, okay, on YouTube or online, they make the mistake, like a lot of people, I guess, so this is common across the board, it's not just with Muslims, that once you're online and you are somewhat anonymous, okay, they feel that all of a sudden all the normal etiquettes and manners and the normal behaviors expected of a Muslim no longer apply to them. All of a sudden, they are exempt. And I think that is no excuse. Because, I mean, in the earliest days, I can understand, okay, in the earliest days of the internet, a lot of people will have thought that this is online and, you almost can't help yourself psychologically, okay? You can't help yourself but be carried away in this new phenomena of YouTube and social media, okay? I will give you that, okay? The first couple of years. But YouTube and the social media, they've been around long enough now. Come on. We should have become accustomed to what it is. We don't get an exemption from the Sharia or the Sunnah and the teachings of Islam and Allah's commandments just because we are online. So, and I think a lot of people fall in that trap. As I said, one brother will be perfectly fine getting along with another Muslim brother of a different mazhab, say. But all of a sudden, when they're online, it's like a lion versus a hyena, or a python versus a lion or a tiger. I don't know. It's just something happens to people, and people feel. I mean, I can understand. Of course, I can. I understand why this happens, because usually you're shooting these videos all on your own. And you have an inanimate object recording you. You have an inanimate microphone. The room is empty, like now, okay, here. There's no one in the room except for myself. I'm talking to myself. 200-300 years ago, I would be classed as mad for talking to myself. Because obviously they don't know that this is recording me. Now, our minds, okay, have a very difficult time processing that when we talk to an inanimate object, we are not actually talking to an inanimate object. Because for thousands of years, 20,000 odd years, when you spoke to a human being, they were usually in front of you. You didn't talk to yourself. Very rarely, unless you were crazy or you were thinking aloud. You just don't talk to yourself. It doesn't make any sense. So when I'm making this video, or when a YouTuber is making a video, and they're talking to an inanimate object, their camera or their phone, for 20,000 years of training the mind to think in one way, the mind believes it is talking to nobody. It is doing something crazy. But obviously, this phone is going to get hooked up to a social media account, or this camera, and this is going to go out to real-life human beings. But I'm afraid the brain will not be able to work that out. Or subconsciously, it doesn't feel as though it is talking to a human being, although on the apparent level, it might. On a reasoned level, okay, on a logical level, it understands that it will eventually go to fellow people and broadcast, and it will, go out to real life people. But subconsciously, if you are not engaging your brain, if you are not self-conscious and aware, you're thinking you're just talking to yourself. And when you talk to yourself, you say the stupidest things. You say stuff that you wouldn't say to people to their faces. So there's that barrier there. And then there's that psychological screen, playing with your head as well. And obviously you are removed from that brother. You're removed. He could be thousands of miles away. He could be in America and you could be in the UK. And you're dissing him and having a beef with someone in America. You feel safe. Of course you're gonna say stuff that you wouldn't normally say. But hang on a minute. You're a Muslim. You're a Muslim. Okay? And he's your fellow brother. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like this. You can't go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Yawm al-Qiyamah and say, "Oh, sorry Allah. I know that we are supposed to be good to our fellow Muslim brothers. But I was on YouTube that day and it's just how it goes. That's just how YouTube works." No, it's not going to work like that. At all. That is not an excuse. These principles of adab, of akhlaq, that Islam teaches, they are applicable across the board. Okay? They are applicable across the board. In reality, in your everyday interaction, and online. But of course, we forget that. And this is the root of it, of the problem. And the shameful thing is, the sad thing is, I suppose, so many people of knowledge, so many people of wisdom, of intellect, of ilm, of understanding, so many people have fallen prey to this. And it's a shame because these people are potentially some of the best in the ummah. Obviously, Allah knows best, but they could potentially, they have the knowledge, they have the wisdom, the understanding, that they could really excel within the ummah, in the traditional sense. But of course, they will dedicate themselves to online work, and this potential gets squandered because obviously you get swept away in the culture. So it's very, very sad that this has to be the case. And as I said, the only antidote to it is more knowledge, more ilm, more time buried in books of the imams and the and the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and less time online. The balance just has to be readdressed in that way. Otherwise, we are not going to change our behavior. Anyway, brothers and sisters, I'm going to end it here. Okay? Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. And make sure you watch the next episode 2. And I will be going into another interesting topic, or I may continue this into further more detail. But as I said, this is an ongoing conversation. And we need to, and I'm going to keep an eye out on the Dawah scene and the Muslim scene in general, and bring you all these interesting topics and the latest analysis on those topics. We need to come on. We need to up our game here, and we need to really dig deep. The world is moving on. It's moving fast. The rest of the world is advancing at an exponential rate in every field, and Islam needs to keep up. Islam needs to keep up. We have an amazing deen. We have an amazing way of life. We had a beautiful, amazing, world-conquering civilization, but we've squandered it. We need to dig out those ancient principles that we have collectively buried deep inside our hearts. Start practicing our deen the way the Salafus Salihin did. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us to, and the Prophet ﷺ showed us how to, inshallah. Anyway, take care. Make sure you follow me on my social media accounts and stay well. Bless you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.